Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Our special guest today is Helen Breil, who is an artist, a teacher, and maker of silkscreens and texture stamps that many, if not most of us, have. So welcome, Helen.
Thank you
Um,
very much.
We met in real life first time back in 2018. And I will admit I was completely intimidated
Mm,
meeting you because you are such a pro in everything you do. And you always come across as polished and that's intimidating. That was intimidating for me. And so when I met you, I was like, I need to be on my best behavior. And the funny thing is we ended up getting in the truck or the car with Dawn to go to this retreat. I don't think we were away more than 5 miles before all illusions were shot. You're a normal human being, just like the rest of us. It was
yeah.
wonderful. And I mean, I think we were laughing so hard and we even had tears. I mean, it was a fantastic ride.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. No,
wonderful.
clicked, all three of us. Yeah. Just really, really quickly and all felt super comfortable with each other. So yeah, it was great. No, we've been friends ever since.
Mhm. Yep, definitely. Yeah, and we sometimes get together. I wish we had more in real life stuff, but that is the
Mhm.
way it is. Um, I said that you're an artist. So big question. How would you define your work? That's an
How do I
artist.
do?
I think that's an artist's scariest question. How would you define your work? If you were to describe yourself to somebody else, what would you say?
Oh, that's so hard. Well, I have a very contemporary look that I guess I'm very drawn to. My top loves of it all is the design, the
Mhm.
design and form. That's what really, really, excites me or whatever is the design elements. I love color, I love texture, I love all these things. But yeah, I think what I bring a little bit different is, yeah, I use a lot of negative space. It's a very contemporary look. I like very kind of clean angular lines usually, although sometimes I get into times where I'm going into the curves. But yeah, we'll be going through my work, so you'll which I feel like is all over the place. But
Really?
yeah, I know, but I know everybody says as soon as they see one of my pieces, they know it's me.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I look through, the gallery of my work, I don't know, it all looks quite different to me. But obviously, there is a very strong theme and voice going through all of that. Yeah, I guess that kind of sums it up a little bit.
I think everybody thinks that their work is all over the place. I
Mhm.
I think everybody, I think most of us don't realize there's a cohesive thread, and I think that it's
Yeah,
really easy for others to see it.
right. I can't really put my finger on it, but as I say, it's something identifiable is there. So
Mhm.
yes, it's
Yeah,
unusual.
the angles and the clean lines. It's
Yeah.
even in your silk screens and texture sheets and things like that. I found out I don't have any of your texture sheets. Can you believe that? I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
you
looking,
get.
I'm digging. I'm like, I thought I had some. Can't
Yeah,
find
no,
them.
I for
So
sure. I thought you had some. Yeah.
So no, but I've got silk screens and I've used them quite a bit, actually.
Mhm.
I mean, steamed and everything.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think? We just talked about your work and we just talked about the angularity and the bold colors and the bold designs. What do you think drives that?
Phew, I would.
Why are you not puppies and kittens?
Um,
That's a hard
Again,
question.
I have no idea what drives me. So I have no formal art background at all, and
Okay.
I actually have come from a technical background in my job in IT, and I cannot explain these things. I just all of a sudden I tripped, and I think it was 1997. I tripped against an article on polymer clay with some big names in it, and it just intrigued me. But I had no background, no real creative work that I had done previous to that, and that I don't know how old I was at the time. Anyway, somehow that, really sparked my imagination. I had a trip to the US and got into the bookstore and saw all these books on polymer clay, bought my first one, and I was off and running. And this whole creative side that, the polymer clay brought out on me, it's the only medium that's done it. It's the only creative pursuit I've had. And again, to me, it's a huge puzzle. I have no idea. I have no idea why. I was so intrigued how I did this 180 flip from, technical to a very creative side of me.
Mhm.
And it's persisted to this day. Like, I'm still absolutely fascinated. I absolutely love it. I still have all kinds of ideas. I don't think I've ever had, a creative block.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't,
No
I
dry
really don't.
spells? No sitting
No,
there looking at something going,
no,
"I don't know what I'm gonna make."
no, no, I really
Whoa.
haven't. Now I do, have kind of inspiration boards that I've built, and maybe that's why. So, it's like, okay, let's look at that, and then I'm off and running again or whatever. But no, I always have this queue of ideas that I want to pursue. I really can't think in my background, or it's a huge puzzle to me. What drives me in, my design direction, why I'm, just so enamored with it all,
Mhm.
when I had basically nothing leading up to it. Yeah, no, I think I'm a strange case, because I know a lot of people
Gotcha.
come from different crafting
Mhm.
backgrounds, and that was just not the case with me.
Well, tell me more about your background. You said technical and IT, so what was your career and what did you do?
Yeah, well, if we want to go make it a little more interesting, so right out of high school, I went, which probably a lot of people don't know, I actually went into fashion merchandising. And I did so, but I don't find that particularly creative. I was just, basically following patterns and stuff. Anyway, so there was a design element to the course, and whatever. It was a lot of fun, 3-year course, at a school called Ryerson here in Toronto. And anyway, I did graduate, and then I couldn't find a job related to it. So I fell back onto my secretarial skills for a job. And in there, I was working for some actuaries at the Insurance Bureau of Canada. So not the most exciting environment. But anyway, I had one person who encouraged me, and I got in and started actually programming a little bit. I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. This is good. And I went back to school, got my degree in computer science. And right out of that, I got an excellent, excellent job that I was at for 20 years, um, doing all kind of consulting and things related to, IT, and had an excellent career with that. Then another little stint with another company. And then I was fortunate enough to retire early at the age of 49, which was fantastic. And I had started my texture business. I had started into the polymer clay while I was working, and my love right away was for textures. And I was friends with the original owner of Shades of Clay, for those of you that are familiar with the online shop in Canada, Margaret, and she sold my textures, my first iteration of them, which were hand poured resin texture sheets. So I would make out of polymer clay the texture, hand do the texture, then I would pour the version to sell. The problem with that, of course, was that I couldn't automate it. And I remember being in tears at times. I'm working full time. I had this huge property. I had gotten into gardening. I was doing all that. And she's like, I need more textures. And I'd be like, I remember once being in tears. It's like, I can't keep up with it because I'm hand pouring these things. So then I had to switch to the rubber stamps, which was a hand drawing thing, which was interesting too, because I had never done any drawing, like I say, no background at all. And I thought, I can't do this. And so maybe a little lesson for people in both, whether it's, in polymer clay or drawing or anything new. It was a disaster. So I sat down, I had some ideas but it was just, not going well at all. As far as liking my drawings and turning them, into rubber stamps. So basically the process is, yeah, you draw it, you get it digitally, and then the stamp manufacturer takes it from there. Anyway, but I just kept at it. So every day I would draw a little bit, and it just got better and better and better. And then I would be happy with what I produced. And I think, like I say, that's a little bit of a lesson in general, in that when you start something new, you're not happy with it. It's hard. It's
Mhm.
you're kind of rejecting your results, but just keep going, keep trying. Just do a little bit every day. And I would go through the same process every time. So I would do, say a stamp a year, and then the next time I'd sit down again a year later, and I was like, oh, I can't. This is awful. I hate everything I'm doing here. And then slowly, yep, there's something. Okay, I think that'll work. And eventually they were there. So I was really proud of that, because like I said, I had the drawing was never there, yet I kind of persevered, and and in the end I was proud of the designs that
Mhm.
I was able to come up with. So
Do you
um
think your career background had anything to do you think that the skills that you developed in your working life
mhm.
had an impact in your artistic career?
I
Would you
think they
say that
did.
they're related or relevant?
Yeah, I think they did it very much in the teaching, and any writing that I do, because I
Mhm.
did a lot of technical writing. And in IT, you have to be extremely precise. When you're programming, you have a period in the wrong place, and your program doesn't work, right? So, that I think gave me the good technical writing that I have in my tutorials and my videos and stuff, and that comes pretty easily to me. So I think that was that definitely transferred over. Um, I can't think of anything else that might have transferred over.
One thing that strikes me and is that you work with intention. You
Mhm.
work with process
True. Yeah.
so that it's not just serendipitous. You're not just throwing stuff at a wall to see what will stick.
No, actually, I don't know about that. It's one
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I mean, well, what kind of what my process is. So I don't do any drawing. I heard about Dawn and Shelley, and they draw out their designs. Never ever do that.
Mhm.
I always work directly with the clay, and I'm a what if person. And I think most people see that. I start with a theme, and then I take it, like, to as far as I can take it, right? So what I'll do is I'll start with an idea. So I can give the example of, people are familiar with my shapes book. So basically, how that started was, I needed to, well, I was playing with cutters, and then the scraps left over after the cutting were sitting there. And then I started playing with them, and I started twisting them around, and I was coming up with some interesting shapes and designs. And then, if you've seen the book, I went crazy on that book, and there's a lot of designs. And I took that theme and that idea, and I, kept going. So I've constantly, what if I do this? What if I change that?
Mhm.
What if I do that? But on a theme.
Okay.
But by the end, I have something that's really unique, as I kept at it and at it and at it. And I take it to the point where it feels complete to me. Okay, it's got all this balance and just this feel and enough complexity that, okay, this feels good. But it took a while. So I'm not, I like I say, that's how I do all my work. So I don't know if that's exactly what you were asking about, as far as throwing things against the wall, but it is this very iterative process of, what if I do
Mhm.
this? What if I do that?
Mhm.
But again, within a theme usually. And then
Mhm.
once I feel like I've taken that theme to the end, then I move on to the next thing. So
Mhm.
yeah.
It actually makes sense. I tend to work in a similar way, and I wonder if having a more technical mind is has something to do with it. It's always a
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Maybe, yeah,
yeah, always a possibility.
yeah.
Let's go ahead and look at your I want to look at your artwork here. Let me get a
I, I have to say, I really enjoyed. I was kind of going down a trip down memory lane, putting the pictures together, just going back to the very early days and bringing it right up to today, and picking these pictures for Ginger here today. So yeah, it was kind of fun.
So this is your first polymer project.
Right.
Yeah. Tell
Yeah,
us
so
about it.
as I mentioned, I bought my first Polymer book, and I don't know, this is over a light bulb, and I didn't know what I was doing, and this was the very first thing I did, which, yeah, I don't think anybody could guess that it's a Helen Breil. So, yeah, and not at all, because I don't do sculptures and whatever today. So anyway, it was an unusual pick given what I do today, but a lot of sentimental value, and he hangs on the tree every year. So brings back nice memories every time I see him. So
Gotcha.
yeah, I went through a phase, glass bottles, covering them with filigree.
Yeah.
Again, inspired somewhere in some book by someone.
Yeah.
But kind of, yeah, I think, yeah, I was already doing my own thing with the crazy tops, and adding elements. I've got some glass in there. I have some chain in there, buttons in there. So yeah,
Buttons. Yeah.
this is really early stuff again.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah. I
again,
remember
yeah,
we all went, I think I know I went through the Balinese filigree
yeah, that's
where
right.
the
Yeah,
extrude the snakes or
yeah,
roll
yeah,
them even.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I can see it. Just noticed. Yeah, I had different sizes of snakes too. So anyway, yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. But it's definitely Helen with the buttons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, again, a really old one. I had this great triangular form, and I used it quite a bit. I thought, again, angular lines, buttons. Yep, right from the very early days. It's there.
Right.
Yeah,
Bright colors.
yeah. My first, and you'll see this as we go through, folded beads are definitely a theme I go back to and back to and back to, and you'll see, depending which ones will be coming up. But anyway, you'll see them coming back. So the interesting thing about this, the pattern in that is from one of those old resin textures. So I did the Balinese filigree and then created a resin texture sheet from it. So that was actually made from that texture sheet. Again, some kind of triangular form that fascinated me, and kind of an interesting design, very 3D.
Angles, textures. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, the crackled foil, yeah.
Mhm.
And so this is probably one of my first PDF tutorials. So again, you can see in the gray, that's the texture sheet. And the result of what you can do with the texture sheet was just cover up this book that I created. So, and my shapes book. So that was my first um, self-published book. And you kind of wonder what you will be known after you're gone, what you'll be known for, and maybe it
Mhm.
will be this. It's I don't know how many years old now, but very, probably 12 or more years old, and it's done amazingly well. This book, like, it just keeps on selling. Obviously not at any huge rate, but it's still there. People still seem interested in it, and I do no marketing for it. And
Wow.
yeah, it's just been absolutely amazing journey with just this one book.
Mhm.
As
It
far as
really, when I first read it, it really just crystallized a lot of concepts in my head. It just
Mhm,
changed how I thought about clay very much so.
mhm.
It's a good one. It's a very good one.
Yeah, thank you. And that's just some examples. That's the back cover of some of the designs that are in there. And another thing I was really proud of, and it was pretty scary at the time, is what I did was I contacted a bunch of artists all over the world to ask if they would create an item for the gallery part of the book, um, giving it their voice. Which, when you think of it, like, I don't think anybody's ever done that, and I don't know. Like, I was just petrified. That people would say no, and I had this fantastic response with all these great artists, and with just blow me away results of what they had done with the various cutting, various designs, but doing their own thing with it.
So are these all ones that you made or that
Yeah,
they
these
made?
are all mine. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't send you any examples from the gallery,
Okay.
but if anybody has the book, yeah, go take a look again. It's just so cool to see what how people had interpreted. the designs in their style. So
Right.
yeah, and there's some very major names that did. So anyway, I'm super proud of that too.
Good, good. I love how you've got different stringing options.
Yeah, I always do pay attention to the stringing for sure and trying to make that interesting. Absolutely, yeah. Everything should work together, I think. You just
Right, a
yeah,
cohesive.
yeah,
I think it's really common that we think in terms of a pendant and that the um necklace holding it is just an afterthought. We
yeah,
don't think of it as being intentional.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You want the whole package, right? You want everything. And that's also been something with me on earrings that you know, I've the connection should be part of the design. Yeah.
It should be part of the design. It shouldn't just be a fish hook sitting on the top
Yeah.
of a dangle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is an interesting texture, and I've been thinking about going back to this and exploring this a bit more. This was actually my second book was fanfold designs, and this is actually kind of a fan folded piece, kind of, and then some, flattened and then cut into strips. And yeah, I really like it. It kind of creates a really interesting texture. So yeah, I might
Yeah.
revisit that.
Because it looks it's more angular than like if you just like a hammered texture, but it's not regular enough to be like a basket weave.
Yeah, it's so there's
So yeah.
definitely a lot, like I said, with the flattening process of the folds,
Mhm.
it creates this great variety of, shapes and stuff. And yeah,
And then notice you do a lot of mica.
yes, yes, I love the Pearl-Ex and all the, yes, I do.
Mhm.
And nothing lately, but yes, I've had times where very, very heavy use of it. Yeah. I always like this one. Again, I got some kind of interesting crackle. Have no idea how I did that, but I just love the two shapes. One's an outie, one's an innie, and yeah, just and then in the cording, that's just a twist of polymer with some beads going through. So yeah, I
Wow.
like the way it all works together.
That is a really interesting. I just had never thought of doing that.
Yeah, it worked quite well. Yeah,
Because it gives it lots of body and lots of structure,
yeah,
and it'd be very simple to do.
yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, great idea.
Uh,
And
so I
what's this?
yeah, so I did three projects for oh my god, it's escaping. Does it say there? Art Jewelry
No.
Magazine,
Okay.
which was a very, if people remember, it doesn't exist anymore, but it was a very top end
Mhm.
um, art. It was yeah, I think it was mostly, yeah, jewelry. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, so this, what I did was I did an extension of the shapes, and I created six new, I think it was six new shapes for them for this article. And I loved what I came up with. Again, I think I could still come up with new ones today. I mean, I just, again, with the cutters, different things going on. As you said, I've got the mica powders going on. I've got
Mhm.
beads, I've got buttons, and the blue one is a magnetic pendant. And then yeah, I
Mhm.
really love the cording on the orange one. Yeah, it just glows, that orange one. It's just, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I sometimes look at these pieces and can't believe I made them. To tell you the truth, I just like,
Mhm. You know,
they're really special to me.
the interesting thing about I'm just realizing looking at your work here is that it's not just the shape, it's not just the color, it's not just the texture, and it's not just the focal points and accents. It's a combination of all of that that you are it creates it allows the work to look finished. And I love that. Like it's a cohesive
Yeah. Well, that's what I say.
entity.
I keep going with a piece until it gives me that complete feeling that all
Mhm.
the design elements, and I now know about the different design elements, and I've read about it, but at the time, everything was just instinct, right?
Right.
um it's just a feeling I get. I'm just like, okay, something's missing. Oh, that's it. It's now finished. I've just got the last piece in place. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, when you see those three little um doobies there on the side, like, if you try to imagine it without it, right? It's just so much more
Right.
feeling complete. And and balanced with it. So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I just keep going until I get that feeling that, yep, that's it. I've
Amazing.
got all the pieces in place. Yeah.
Amazing. So did you make those or are those
No,
something?
they're some kind of bead or something, or yeah, um
Okay,
yeah, I think they're a bead. Yeah.
gotcha. And so
And
tell
my
talk about the folded
fold,
beads. What are the
yeah,
folded beads? What's
yeah.
the idea
So
there?
um again, I don't really remember how I first came up with them. I'm sure just playing with the clay and then again taking off with that theme. And as I said, this is something you'll see various interpretations of. This one is again, maybe one again that I might be known for. The video. So I'd done, a lot of selling and stuff. I thought I wanted to get back to the community. So I did a quite a long, very carefully done two-part YouTube video that you can go to and find if you're not familiar with it. And it's had like over 100,000 views. It's huge, like so for especially for a while there, um, I saw a lot of people making the folded beads, and it's been very very popular too. Like as far as people watching it and views and stuff. And again, like I said, I've seen a lot of work with it too. So this is just the cover for, I guess, the video. But anyway, if you want to see it, yeah, you can find it on YouTube. Look for Folded Beads Helen Breil, and also on my website helenbreil.com. I have a video tab where I have both my freebie videos as well as my uh, payment type videos. So
Gotcha. Oh, and here's individual ones.
yeah, so in that tutorial, I teach the technique to get these patterns using, they're using rubber stamps. So if you're interested in that, you can check out the video and it will step you through how to do that. So my next little ebook, this one was smaller, is Fanfold Designs. And not nearly as popular, but I had fun with it, and do some interesting stuff with it.
Mhm,
Again, I love depth and dimension and form. So
mhm. Very nice. So classic.
yeah, so this is actually one of my favorite pieces. I just, yeah, again, it's just like everything came together. So here we have our folded bead again and our fan fold in it. So I've combined the two, and that the black on that, I think it's like I put a black pearlex on that, and then so it's a beautiful, beautiful satin finish. Not
Mhm,
exactly remember how I do it, but when I pick it up, it's just, yeah, it's such a beautiful finish. And then, yeah, I struggled for a long time for that third element. I need one more piece. It's just not complete. Just try to imagine it without that red focal
right.
point, right? And
Yeah, put
then
your finger over it and it's just
yeah,
awful. I mean, not
look at the,
awful,
yeah,
but
just think of the difference, right? It's
yeah,
huge. It's huge.
huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and I will play and try to find that focal point or that
Mhm,
final piece for a long, long time. And I'm pretty sure I took a like it didn't. These things don't come easy for me. I
no.
work. I'm constantly okay. Like I say, what about this one? What about that one? And I'll try it. I'll photograph different ones. I mean, like, yeah. Don't think people that this is an easy process. It's maybe I'm getting better at it, but I still on these sorts of things, I do spend a long time, but it's a labor of love. And then when I get this, wow, what a fantastic feeling of satisfaction that that's
Mhm.
it. That's what I've been looking for.
It's like you can feel it. It's
Yeah.
like it goes, ah, like,
Yeah. Yeah. It
yeah,
is. It's like a feeling. It's like, oh, that's it. That is what
yeah.
I've been looking for. And it's such a good feeling. And I guess the longer it takes, the more satisfying it is when you do
Mm,
actually find it. Yeah. I
no,
sometimes think if I was kind of had more design sense or something, I would find these things faster. I would know how to get to them faster. I don't know that I'm getting to these things faster, but anyway, it is what it is.
I think
But
to a certain extent it's experience, which is why
yeah,
I get frustrated when people expect to know these things instantly,
right.
because I think a lot of this is an evolution, not just of the art, but an evolution of ourselves
Yes,
and our
absolutely. Yeah.
ability to perceive it, our
Yeah.
ability to even see what's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably can't tell myself, but I imagine I am getting better at these things
Yeah,
since I've been at it so long.
right.
But still, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this design, and it's a tough one. It's a very complex project actually. And again, this was with art jewelry, and I absolutely love their photography on all my work. They do such a great job. Yeah, I thought that was this has always been a special design for me as well, because you have both. You've got curves going two ways on those leaf sections, and it is an elastic going
Mm,
through it's a hollow cord going around, and the elastic's going around. So a lot of interesting things going on in this bracelet. Yeah. So this was my first collaboration with somebody. I don't know if people are familiar with Annie Pennington, but she's a very
yeah,
talented artist. And so she was my editor at Art Jewelry.
right.
And I guess, I worked with her on the three projects. And I don't know, somehow we got the idea to do the collaboration. So at the time, you can see in the lower left there, that was, I was playing with folded beads into or what I was then calling folded shapes. So it's basically I'm creating this frame. And so I just thought, okay, I think I gave her a few different options and said, okay, here's a frame and do what you want with it. So she added the felt and the great metal frame around that. And you can see all the little I don't know what you call them, your little balls there that she's put in, which adds a really nice uh, repetition of the metal there. And yeah, I just wow, I was blown away with the
You
result of
just
it.
made it the whole thing pop. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, so that
really
was a lot
good.
of fun. And
Really
here
good.
is another collaboration I did with, as everybody would be familiar with, Jana. And again, you can see what I gave her, which were three just really simple um, black frames. And then she put her technique in there that she is quite famous for, which is so, so cool.
Turned out really well.
Yeah. And I don't even wear bracelets very much, but I gotta say, I've been very pleased with the two designs I came up with. And this was the second one. And this is a class still available on, it's a video class with Craftcast. And I did this wrap bracelet. And again, really happy with that. That was cool, very popular, and really happy with how that turned out. Yeah,
And do I recognize a zipper there?
yeah, yeah. I love the zipper. I use that occasionally. Yeah, and I think that's a fabric texture and that I had highlighted. So yeah,
Nice.
and
Nice,
I've
nice.
got to say, you always as an artist struggle with the photography and coming up with that idea of just the hand in the pocket and whatever. I thought that worked out well too. I
Mhm.
think it's a
It did
good
work
way to
well.
show it off. So yeah, and that's another version, silk screened with one of my designs, and that was featured in Sage's um,
The Polymer Arts.
Polymer Arts. Yeah,
Mhm. Nice.
yeah. So this was the first of my more formal and kind of high-end video classes on the Thinkific learning platform. And so my first class was magnetic pendants. So the concept here is there's magnets behind the pendant there, and they are attached to the chain magnetically. So it's really easy to take the pendant on and off. You can put the pendant on a different set of chains. If you take the class, you can see I got all kinds of different options. You're probably going to have a few more pictures from this coming up. So anyway, again, very angular lines. There's a zipper there again.
Yeah.
And I love the look on the chains. I think that's really cool. And yeah, I ended up with a lot of different shapes and designs on that class, which did really well. So this is really special to me. So this was the last edition of the Polymer Arts magazine. So I had this piece on the cover of it. And Sage told me that I was the only artist that had two covers with her. So that was like blew me away. And so
Wow.
that was really special. So this again is one of my favorite pieces, and it's from, the concept of the magnetic pendants. I wear it on a chain. And so this is a real example of something that kind of grew out of nothing. So that purple piece, as you can see, um, not something you usually find for me, right? I'm usually kind of more precision or whatever. So that just came out of the fast machine. It was scrap,
Oh, wow.
just being put through, and I liked it. I just cured that layer. I just made the shape and cured that layer, and then everything was built, from there. And then I framed it, and then I got the background and what color background, and I sure I played with that. And then the wire, oh my god, like that was a lot of work. So that was something that just pieced together piece by piece by piece. Something kept driving me. I loved that purple layer so much, I guess, and just thought I can do something special with this. And yeah, so took a long time. It was a lot of experimentation. Um, but I got to say, yeah, that wire work makes it. And yeah, I spent a lot of time on that. And yeah, so again, that's
Worked out
one of
really,
my,
really well.
yeah, thanks.
Really well.
One of my favorites. And yeah,
Yeah.
and to have that on the cover of the last issue again was just like
Yeah.
icing on the
Uh,
cake. Yeah.
yeah.
Another example of a magnetic pendant on a chain, which I really like that design as well. I love asymmetrical stuff. So another example, and that top layer is silk screened and it's magnetic. So it can spin around. You could put something else in there if you wanted. I'm all about mix and match. So
Right.
yeah. Yeah, and this one again, it's magnetic, so you can just see a tiny bit of the magnet in the middle there, so that you could put other ones in there. And going on with the stringing option is again basically a take on the folded bead, but it's
Right.
open at the bottom.
Right.
And this was my next class, Mad About Bowls, so I worked away at trying to find three really unique shapes for bowls, not the usual thing that out there. I always try to not follow trends, and that was fun. That was I thought, yeah, the shapes that I came up with, I thought were pretty cool. That's an example of one of them. That's the triangular one. So
So in your tutorials, are you sharing how to do the shape as well as how to do the texturing and coloring? Is that all part of it?
uh, I do tend to like for the bowls. I mean, you're taught how to do the bowls. Uh, in that one, I know I stressed my painting technique. So actually, if you want to know how I paint things, um, that is probably the best tutorial to get as far as my techniques of how I
Okay.
get, all these shadings and
Mhm.
stuff in that. I can't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure almost all of them I do some texture component as well, like as far as a surface technique to go
Right.
with the actual form. So I'm pretty sure I had something in there for that.
Okay.
All right. Yep. Again, this was a lot of fun. So basically, I came up with I call it 60 sectional textures, but it's texture techniques and in very, very unique ways. So one of the textures, for example, is using tape and layering
Mhm.
tapes, and another is using a modeling paste, and others are carving and that sort of thing. And yeah, anyway, and it's all about layering textures. So if you go through the examples, you'll see it's never just one texture. I'm always layering. I'll start with a fine texture, then a less fine one. So for example, in the top right, you can see a very bold pattern, but you also see um, a fine texture in behind, and you'll see that almost in every case. So even
Mhm.
the section on the leaves and whatever in the bottom right, they're on a textured background. So that just to me makes it's, going from kind of okay to, fantastic when you start
Mhm.
layering the stuff. And I love the one in the bottom left, that is just a single leaf pressed in with different ways, in kind of a circular pattern. And I just love the way that one turns out. Yeah.
Yeah. Really awesome.
And the next class is the Indoloops pendants class, and I teach this particular crackled pattern technique in there. So the class includes 3 shapes of this kind of design with a loop in the middle, and teaches you how to do this crackled pattern. So, and there are some examples that are in the loop, but using textures from the texture class.
Gotcha. Very fun. Yeah, I'm wearing one.
Yeah, that's right. So I did a whole bunch of them for a swap. So Ginger got that.
So
Yeah.
I have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to look at it super close and say, is it the same one? Is it the same
Yeah.
one?
Well,
Say, no.
they're always a little
There's
different. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. The ones I did for the swap are smaller. The later ones I upped the size. Yeah. So this is
Gotcha.
that same technique that I teach in the class. It's
Mhm.
actually using rubber stamps and a particular medium that crackles, and yeah, can get some really cool designs on that way. And the same thing again, same technique.
And again,
And
the importance of having the focal and
right.
having something to draw the eye in
Yeah.
to make it pop.
Yeah, for sure. That's a huge theme of mine is, strong focal points. I love radiating lines. I love strong focal points.
Mm.
Yeah, you're right, Ginger. I really like, uh, I really want to make a statement. I like bold designs. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
And this is my
So
latest baby, and I got to say, it's probably the most effort I've ever put into any of my classes. I created a little bit of a monster for myself, and it is a full 2 hours packed with information. And again, I think I came up with an innovative idea here. So you can see there's a front and back component to each design, and you can mix and match. So I'm wearing those earrings right now, and yeah. So we've kind of got the stud portion, you've got the back portion, and I just think it's a really cool and elegant way to connect your earrings. It's
mhm.
kind of becomes part of the
So
design.
you could wear the stud itself if you just wanted a
Absolutely.
very subtle look, and
Sure.
then you're using the rest of the earring is actually attached as a back,
That's
right?
right. That's
So
right.
it's hanging behind your earlobe.
Yes.
So it
On the earring post. Yeah.
right, so it's offering a lot of,
Yeah.
well,
Mix and match again.
options.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah.
lots of options, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So, like, actually, if you wanted to, you could design a whole suite of fronts and backs
Sure.
that mix and match however you wanna do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of looked around and thought, is this idea out there anywhere? And
Mhm.
no. It literally took me years to write this. I was very slow. It was through COVID, and I actually did stop working for about a year, actually, um, during COVID, just for whatever reason. And yeah, so I was thrilled that, I got this out there, and as far as I know, it's unique. There's nobody connecting earrings this way. And then of course the other concept here, of course, is all strips, and all the designs
Mhm.
are basically strips put together in different ways. So
It's interesting because I see a lot of techniques in this that would be very useful techniques for a new earring maker to know if they are that would be applicable to other things. Actually, I see a lot of techniques here that have to
yes.
do with handling the clay
Yes,
that
I
would
think
be
so.
useful.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I would love to see somebody go and run with that, and try to apply, because the techniques of making these, and
Hmm.
I hope people aren't intimidated thinking I can't do this kind of precision work, and I show you how to uh, do it in the easiest way possible. And and it is not that, it is not hard to get the precision look when you follow the instructions. And yes, I think that it's innovative on how I do it. And I would love people to be able to apply that to other areas of their work.
Mhm.
And I'd love to see how they do that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can see right off learning how to cut strips, learning how to work precisely,
Mhm.
learning how to attach things
Yeah. Yeah.
is all really an important part of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Um,
And this is back.
yeah. So
All
again,
right. How's that staying in
yeah, I
position?
know. I
Wait,
know. You know
wait.
what? And I love this thing. And and I, again, this is something that I'm looking to revisit or whatever, because I just love playing with stuff like this. And
Mhm.
again, magnets are a theme for me. So they're uh, when you look at it, it's all quite simple, right? But there's magnets behind that. Now, of course, it does take a second to set that up, but I find it fun. And it is a real conversation starter, right? So I wore this out to a dinner, and they're like looking at it and trying, how did you do that? And I just love the way the cord drapes, in the middle one. And yeah, I never did a tutorial on this or anything. It's a pretty kind of out there design, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I think it's so do you wear your jewelry when you go out and out in the
Yes,
world?
I do, yeah, I any opportunity I can, I absolutely do. And I guess what people can tell is I make whether I teach it or make it for myself, it's for me. I would never put anything out that I wouldn't want to wear myself. Oh, I can think of one case that I did for a competition, but other than that, I I I make for myself to please myself, and I'm happy that other people, like what I make and want to learn it too. This is just one of my rubber stamps, and actually, this is I have a tutorial on this. This is a really old one on. You create the little outline there, and you cure it first, and then you
Mhm.
kind of fill it with your design later. I forget what I even called that, but that's fun. So that's the thing where you can get some great curves going and some fun stuff happening, and you get again dimension because that's you kind of
Mhm.
you're pushing the clay out into a nice rounded form.
Oh, that's
This
so gorgeous.
Thanks. Yeah, this is many many years ago when the IPCA had it was just starting its contest. So this won, I think it won first prize in one of the categories. For the IPCA stuff. So I call it coleus, if anybody's familiar with the plant. And
Mm.
so again, usually when you see the pinched leaves, which many people are quite famous for, it's usually caning. So in this case, I'm
Mhm.
doing it in textures and I'm edging the probably with a Krylon pen. And
Mhm.
I loved how that turned out. Yeah.
Turned out really nice.
And this was made for a full page magazine ad for Fimo. So that was fun. And again, it's the folded beads. Um, and you can see that it's kind of overlapping there. You can see the inside edge, which creates the red border on the left there. And interestingly enough, so I wanted, interesting stringing option. So that stringing in the red, that is what started me on the whole earring thing. Well, I started with the beads, by the way. Yeah. So the earrings came later. I started with beads and necklaces with the strips. And I came up with this for this, and I thought that looks really cool. I got to go back to that. And it was years later that I came back and started playing with this idea. And again, as you saw with the earrings, I take things to the nth degree. So that's just examples. Again, I love playing with shapes, and so I got some silk screening and texturing going on there, and various focal points.
Very fun.
Again, showing off my silk screens. And it's got
Nice.
this kind of cool, the underneath layer is this cool crackle paint. So that
Mhm.
turned out quite nicely.
You did.
And again, I've textured my silk screens in this case.
Mhm. No
This was
product.
my first bowl, art bowl, vessel that I did, and guess what it is? It's just one big folded bead.
It
So,
is.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't even think of it that way, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's just amazing how I keep coming back to it. I don't know what it is, but it's anyway, yeah. So just do a really big folded bead and you got yourself a vase. And here again, I think I was probably just trying to show off my my rubber stamps there and created another type of vessel. And here we are again with another variation on the folded bead, which
Right.
this guy's really cool. Looks really good on, and I love all the jagged angles going on there, and just a basic crackle there going. Yeah, so this is the one guy. I don't think I'd wear that out in
You
public. It's so this is my one kind of crazy thing. I think I did this for the IPCA competition, so it didn't place or anything, but that's probably the most outlandish design I've ever done. So
wasn't this on a cover as well?
that it might have made its way to not a cover, I don't think, but it might have
Okay.
made it to Sage's
Polymer Arts.
magazine. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm
art.
thinking. I've seen it there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe that I did it for that. I don't know. I really can't quite remember.
It's been a while.
But anyway, yeah.
Very, very, very cool.
No, thank you.
Um, so what's your favorite course of all the courses that you've made? Which one's your favorite one?
Uh, Maybe the magnetic pendants, just because, yeah.
Really?
Uh,
Why?
y- well, it was my first in that, that series or maybe it should be the shapes. I don't know. I just thought the idea of the magnetic on the chain was so cool. I was so
Mhm.
excited. I thought I'm going to take over the world with this idea, which of course, you don't see this happening very often. But yeah, so and it did, it did really well, and yeah, I was quite proud of it. So it's, yeah, more one of my highlights, I think. Yeah.
Do you prefer what's your favorite part of all of this? Do you prefer teaching or making the art or developing the tutorials? What's your favorite wearing the stuff and showing it off? What's your favorite part?
That is fun too. Yeah. Once it's all done. Yeah. No, I gotta say, sitting at my workspace and playing and coming up with the designs is my
Mhm.
absolute favorite. And the interesting thing is, because I've been teaching so often and for so long, whenever I do stuff, I'm always thinking, how can I teach this? And there's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff I've done where, like, okay, I can't figure out a way to simplify this enough. It's too complex.
Yeah.
It's too hard to teach. And, you might see it on
Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram, but there's never a tutorial on it because I couldn't, figure out how to present it in a simple enough form.
Mhm.
So, but anyway, so it's actually just sitting and coming up with the
Mhm.
designs. Absolutely love it. And that's part of my problem, is that I will do that way too long and I don't put the brakes on, and I need to stop and actually get the lesson going and actually start
Mhm.
with the filming and the photography and the instructions, and I just keep playing and playing, and then and a year later it goes
Y-
by. And that's how
I
long
think,
and that's how long it takes. It usually takes about a year for me to develop these.
yeah.
It's a really long process. Yeah.
It always cracks me up when you post your own, you post something new on social media and somebody will immediately say, I need a tutorial for that. And
Yeah.
it's interesting
Yeah.
because it's like, well, if it was simple, I would have done one already. It's
Yeah.
not that easy.
Yeah.
It's really,
Absolutely.
really, it is hard work
Yeah.
creating a tutorial and simplifying it to the point where anybody can learn from it
Yeah.
to make it
A-
accessible.
And that's what you have to do. You have to, like, there's quite a few things, especially in the earring thing. It's like, okay, this is kind of hit and miss. This is not going smoothly. I have to figure out a
Mhm.
new way to do this. And so that takes time. And that, to me, is the sign of a good teacher. You go
Right.
back and you have to figure it out to simplify it. And the end product, the student wouldn't know what you went through. But if you are finding the instructions easy to follow, know that there was a lot of work behind that. And I know, Ginger,
Absolutely.
you do fantastically good and
Well, thank you.
But
It is,
yeah.
it is an intentional process.
Yeah,
You have to break it down and think it through and to make it to where it is easy for the student to follow through.
yeah,
There's a lot of thought behind it.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna start asking some questions here that have been, Paula wants to know, what was the first book that you purchased about polymer clay?
Yeah, I don't know the name of it, and that was where I found my Santa there. Who knows? It's probably not in print anymore. So sorry, I can't answer the
Gotcha.
question. It was back in probably 1997. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's a ways.
yeah.
Um, Diane wanted to know, is there a way we can get a hold of the Manipulating Polymer Shapes from Art Jewelry magazine?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether you can still do those classes.
Yeah. I think because
Mhm.
because
For
they're out of
those
print,
articles. Yeah,
but the whole company's, I don't think the whole company's still going, so.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
still get these notices from somebody, but I don't think it was Art Jeweler. I think it was someone else.
Okay.
Somewhere that, I guess I would suggest Googling the name of that article and seeing if anything comes up and my name. I mean, there
Very
is a
good.
small chance because there is some company that's did take over some of these articles, I think. So yeah.
Gotcha.
But as I
Okay.
said, the concepts in that are just an extension of the shapes book. So yeah. Although the shapes in that article are unique, but you might be able to piece them together if you have the shapes book. Yeah, you might be able to reverse engineer them and figure them out. Yeah,
Susan wanted to know, would you ever consider a stringing tutorial?
probably not. It's not a fun thing for me, and it's you know like I just get inspired by the piece and what works for the piece, and often to kind of reveal things there. Often in those pictures you see these lovely fluffy yarns, but there's no finishing to it. It's just there, enough for the photography or whatever. So
Mhm.
in some cases I don't finish off what looks like this great stringing option. Just I'm just trying to show off the pendant. So
Right.
no, that's
Um,
probably not, that wouldn't be high on my list to do. All I can do is encourage you to be creative, think outside the box. Like I say, I just used to go into yarn stores and pick out interesting yarns, and then you figure out how to put an end on it and stuff. So yeah.
so are you still making silk screens and texture sheets?
Actually, that's a good point. Texture sheets, yes. Silk screens, no. So
Okay.
they stopped a little while ago.
Okay.
But yes, the texture sheet, I haven't had a new design for quite a long time, but they are still there. And if you go to my website, I do have a list of retailers on my website.
Good, good. And what is your preferred brand of polymer clay?
That's a tough one. I mean, I
Yeah,
think a lot of
I was
yeah, a
gonna
lot
hit
of
that.
people know I was a huge fan of Kato.
Gato, yeah.
And I do, and Kato still has, as far as I can tell, um, one unique property. So for the bracelets, Kato does not have as much flexibility as the others, which is a huge bonus for the bracelets, so that they don't stretch open, which they will with other brands. And that's why
Mhm.
I was always stressing Kato for any project where you don't want that flexibility. You want strength and you want it to keep its shape. So for many years, I was a big Kato fan. For the earrings, so what I've been working out in the last few years because of the earrings, souffle was what I used. It was my favorite for
Mhm.
that. I love the matte finish. I love it's not sticky. And yeah, anyway, I loved working with the souffle for the earrings. But again, it all depends on the project. It really does, and I think that's yeah true for anybody.
Do you sell your finished pieces?
No, I do not. I've been asked quite a few times, and I'm very flattered. But yeah, I have all these pieces, and they're like my babies, and I I had very hard time to give them up. So the only time you'll get something from me is through an auction, and that doesn't happen too often either. So
And which medium do you use for crackle?
uh, well, I use uh, the foils, the silver leaf and whatever. So that was kind of the major one. And for the in the loops, I use, I think you pronounce it gouache. Is that
Okay.
correct, Ginger? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Use it.
Yeah. So it,
So it's inherent in the medium. I mean,
yes,
in the technique. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's one of the things that I've done. Sarah asked that question. Hit me up in the drop in and we'll talk about it. Sarah, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. I think
What
you have a whole crackle.
Yeah, I took it
Sure.
down. It's not up right now.
Oh,
But yeah, that's you can some paints will crackle. Let's just put it that way.
yeah.
Because I don't want to give away too many of Helen's techniques. What do you use for a coating now that PIM2 is gone? Instead of having a spray to coat things, what do you use?
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing with the earrings. I haven't had to coat anything. Uh,
Mhm.
so what I do, everyone, is I go and check out what Ginger says. So if anybody asks me that question, I'm saying, let's go see what Ginger
Let's
says.
go see what
Because
Ginger says.
yeah, because really
Okay.
nobody has any more knowledge about all these sealants, which is just a huge area, than Ginger. So if I had to do it today, and I do remember the odd time looking, but I can't remember. But I was like, okay, she has some new product that she's recommending, and I'm going to check it out when I need it. But I just haven't needed it yet.
Haven't needed it.
But
Right, right.
absolutely, there's no better source
Well,
to
thank
learn
you.
those things from than
Thank you. Thank
Ginger.
you.
Anything
Thank you.
technical,
Thank you.
yeah,
Well, we
I
try.
go to the expert.
Ah, nah, not at all. Let's see. I want to probably ought to wrap things up, but thank you so much. It's funny looking at your work. I mean, I'm familiar with your work and I've known about it for years and I have some of it. I've got several of your pieces and I'm still blown away at how incredible it is. Just so much originality, just so much. And one thing we didn't even talk about is the craftsmanship. Just absolutely exquisite craftsmanship.
Yeah. Well,
Just
yeah. I
ugh,
guess yeah, I didn't mention, but I am a perfectionist. So that's where that comes from.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It can
There's
be good
nothing
and
wrong with
bad,
that.
but yeah, in my work, I guess it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you give us hope and tell us what and help us understand what's possible with this wonderful medium. So
Yeah.
I very much appreciate that.
Well, thank
And
you,
thank
Ginger.
you so much for um coming to tell us and share your
Yeah. Well,
little
thank you
world
so
with
much for
us.
featuring me. It's been great chatting with you, and yeah, thanks for the
Yeah, I
opportunity.
appreciate it. And thank you everyone else for having for joining us today.